A topic I have been absolutely obsessed with as of recently has been shame. And the more I learn about it and the more I understand it, the more I realize how much power there is to unlock once we overcome shame in ourselves. So this video is going to be all about shame, and I'm going to be sharing my recent insights on it. So shame, let's start off by defining it, right? Most people know what shame is, but we're still going to define it because maybe some people don't, and it's always good to have a bit of a refresher. So shame is an emotion, and it is an emotion that makes us feel like a bad person, okay? Now, shame can come about within the body for an array of different reasons, but in general, and just for this definition, shame comes about when we do something that we believe is misaligned with who we are or is wrong, right? So it's like just doing things or showing up in a certain way that isn't really aligned with what we think is right or like who we are type thing, right? Now, as of recently, as I said, I've been diving into it, and the more I look into it, the more I'm like, holy fuck, man, so much of everything comes from shame. It's insane, like it's genuinely insane, right? First thing I want to talk about is the difference between shame and guilt, okay? So shame is I'm a bad person, guilt is I did a bad thing. Important little discrepancy there because they're very easy to get mixed up. Now, shame is an emotion which it's so low on the sort of like chart of vibration and frequency. It's literally the lowest emotion that a person can embody, right? Like it's all the way at the bottom. If you look at like a David Hawkins chart of consciousness, shame is at the very, very, very bottom. It's the lowest state of consciousness someone can reside in. And it just blows my mind that there's not that much talk about shame in society. Like nobody talks about shame, and there's a reason for that, okay? So nobody talks about shame because shame has a bit of like element to it which keeps itself protected. So there's a really good saying which says shame thrives in secrecy, okay? Now the reason that this saying is so true is because when someone is feeling shame or when someone is harboring shame within their body, the very last thing that most people do is share that shame, talk about the shame, just own the shame, own their story, own their truth, whatever it is. Like people don't want to talk about things that they're ashamed about. Now, don't get me wrong, I 100% understand. I've held shame within my body before about a lot of things, and the last thing I wanted to do was talk about it and share it with others and, actually get it out there. And understandably so, right? Like when you have shame within your body, you feel like if that secret gets out, if other people know what you know about yourself, about, what you did, or maybe even the narrative is who you are, then they're going to judge you, they're going to hate you, they're going to maybe even abandon you, right? That's what shame tells us. Like when we have shame within our body, that's genuinely what we believe. And that's why so many people don't open up about shame and share their shame, and they just feel so scared to do it because, from an experiential level, you don't think it's safe to do so. Now this stems back all the way to like tribal times, right? If you think about back in the times of tribes and whatnot, right? Tribal dynamics. If you did something which wasn't aligned with the tribe's culture or something like that, and you got found out, you were banished from the tribe sometimes, right? Now, this isn't just like, oh, cool, bro, go find a new tribe. Maybe in some cases that happened, but in a lot of cases, if you got banished from your tribe, that meant death. It meant, your safety, your security, your protection, your provision in terms of food and all that sort of stuff. All these things were consisted within the tribe itself. So if you get banished from that tribe, you're literally like borderline dead straight away. You have to face the elements by yourself. You're fending against the animals and other tribes and all that sort of stuff. So it was in the tribal members' best interest to keep things concealed if they were acting in a way that wasn't aligned with the tribe's sort of like culture or way of being, right? So that's why on a biological level, we feel so much resistance to sharing shame. I'm not going to say it's the only reason, but it's a main reason. Okay, so I'm just sort of giving you guys a bit of like insight and a bit of history, I guess, to the origin of why we're so resistant to sharing shame. Now, I know we're resistant to sharing shame, and I know when we have shame, we definitely don't want to share it, but it's the very thing we have to do, right? And that's literally the paradox of shame. The paradox of shame is when you have shame, you don't want to tell anyone about it, but the only way to process shame is to speak it, right? As I said before, shame thrives in secrecy, and it literally lives in the shadows, right? Another saying, shame lives in the shadows, or shame can only exist in the shadows. When you actually openly share the thing that you're ashamed about, I'm not going to say it disappears straight away, but it loses a significant amount of its power over you. A big reason that shame is holding you and that it has you in its fucking grip is because you're not sharing and you're keeping it to yourself because, you know, you're scared of what someone might say or what people might think. And I'm here to tell you, like, man, share whatever it is you're ashamed about. And I'm not saying share it in, you know, I'm not saying post a Facebook status or make a YouTube video and just share it with the entire world. No, I'm saying share it in a space where it's like safe and normal to do so, okay? Because sometimes, I'll be completely honest, you're going to share something you are ashamed about and you're going to be met with judgment. You're going to be met with resistance. You're going to be met with all sorts of negative shit from other people. And, you know, that's just the reality of it. Like, not everyone is going to be able to provide a space and meet you with non-judgment when you're sharing shame. So find a space and find an environment or a community or something like that where you can, or a person, find something, a space like this where you can actually share your shame. Because if you don't share it, all it's going to do is literally fester inside of you, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And then, like, shame fuels a ton of self-destructive behaviors and self-sabotaging patterns and all sorts of stuff like this. Before we go into that though, I do want to mention, if you are a guy and you do harbor a bit of shame within your body and you need and want a space to be able to share that, to be able to fucking own that and just break free from its binds, I have a community called the Self-Mastery Society. It's a men's self-development community where shame sharing is completely normalized. Like, if someone is holding shame, I'm like, bro, share that shit. I don't want you to hold on to that. Literally share it in the community. No one's judging you. No one's hating on you. You're not getting banished from the fucking community. None of that bullshit. It's literally like, okay, awesome, bro. I appreciate and respect the fact that you shared your truth, and let's keep moving forward. That is a key part of the culture within the Self-Mastery Society, something I've worked very hard to establish and maintain. And yeah, I absolutely love it. Like, I use it all the time. If I harbor shame about something, I'm like, a shame share. It's necessary, you know, a shame share or a shame release. We literally have terms for it, right? Like, it's like, hey lads, I'm owning up. I did this. I feel really shit about it. I'm harboring shame. I just want to come clean. And then all the other lads are there. It's like, all right, respect, brother. I appreciate you sharing that. What did you learn from this so it doesn't happen again? So it's not just about, yeah, we can just do the stupidest shit and then just own our shame, and then, you know, there's no consequences or there's no like learning from it. What I really like to do is when someone shares shame with me around a particular thing they did that they don't want to do in the future again, I like to ask them, what did you learn from it, right? Like, what were the lessons you gained from this experience? And in doing this, it's actually a constructive thing. It's like, listen, man, you know, I did this. Now, the reason I did this is because this happened and I didn't understand how to deal with that certain things. And so I resorted to this. Or maybe I was pressured into doing this. Or I was just hanging around with the wrong people. Whatever it is, we can learn the lessons that are associated with the behavior or action, or maybe if it's a continuous thing, the habit, and then we can grow from it. And then that meaning we can change the future in the sense of we can stop it from continuously happening. So we own the shame, and that's one part of it. That's like 50% of it. And then you got to make sure it doesn't repeat, because if it repeats, you're just going to experience the shame again and again and again and again. It's really important that you learn from the event of shame, so then you can at least decrease the odds of it happening in future again. Okay, now what I want to talk about with shame is how it fuels self-destructive behaviors and self-sabotaging patterns. So let's create like a bit of a story, right? People learn through stories, and it's much better than just cold hard facts, right? No one learns from facts. And if you're watching this, it's probably more engaging if there's a bit of a story. So let's say that there's a man named Tim. Okay, this is a completely fictional name, completely fictional story. So there's no, there's no stress about anything like that. So this man's name's Tim. And Tim has said to his partner that he's going to stop watching Corn. Okay, now Corn is obviously a code word for Cornhub, the thing I can't say without getting shadow banned. So Tim has said to his partner he's going to stop watching Corn. And she said, "Thank you so much, Tim. I really appreciate that. I respect you for telling me, and I respect you for also raising your standard for yourself and also us in the relationship." And he's doing this so he can show up as a better man for her, right? So the bedroom experience gets better, and you know, his self-respect increases, and he just feels like it's the right thing to do, right? He's being like completely loyal to his missus, and that's their own little standard they've set. Now he said that to his partner, so now a boundary or a standard has been established. Now, Tim has said that to his partner, but he continues to watch Corn behind the scenes. What do you think this creates within Tim's body? It creates shame, okay? Because now he's living out of alignment with who he has portrayed himself to be to someone he really cares about, and also to himself. He said to himself he's going to quit, and he genuinely meant it, but then he's breaking his word through engaging in the Corn behind the scenes. So he has shame coming up within his body. That's the origin of shame in this story. Now what happens is, because shame is it's a real, like, it's a very heavy emotion. Shame, you guys have definitely felt it before. It feels like a sinking feeling in the chest and in the like heart region. It just feels really, really dark and heavy, and it's really like we want to get away from it, right? Rightfully so. So what Tim does is, when he feels this shame that's inevitable, that it comes up, right? He doesn't know how to deal with this, okay? He doesn't have the emotional intelligence and doesn't know how to navigate the inner world as much as he should, and so he doesn't know how to deal with the shame. Shame comes up, he automatically thinks, fuck, this is heavy, fuck, I want to get away from this. So what does he do? What's a way that some people can get away from their emotions temporarily? Back to the Corn, right? So he feels the shame because he knows he's done something that he shouldn't have done, because he set a boundary or an establishment or a standard with himself and his partner. Now it's come up, the shame's in his body, he doesn't want to deal with it, he doesn't really know how to deal with it, so boom, he goes straight back to the Corn. And for a short period of time, he feels better, right? Better, because he doesn't feel that feeling of shame, because it's temporarily pushed down and repressed while he's engaging in the habit. Now you got to think about, okay, cool, temporarily he feels better. Does it mean it's the right thing to do? No, definitely not. Key word there is temporary, because after he engages in the habit of watching Corn again, he's going to then experience double the shame, right? He's literally going to finish watching it, and then he's going to be like, oh my, I cannot believe I did that shit again. And now he's got more shame, right? So now it's like shame on top of shame. And this is how a self-destructive and self-sabotaging cycle and pattern can start. Because it's like, okay, I had this much shame, now I've got this much, now I've got this much. And like, if you don't learn how to deal with the shame, and you don't actually own up to what's happened and, you know, actually release the shame, it's just going to keep stacking and stacking and stacking, and it's just going to feel like energetically insanely heavy until a point where you just need to escape constantly. And then the self-destructive habit or the self-sabotaging pattern might change, right? It's not just all going to be about one thing. It could be, oh my god, the shame's here, fuck, I'm gonna have a drink, I need a drink, I'm too stressed, right? Or this, I just don't feel good, I need a drink. Drink it away. Oh cool, temporarily you feel a little bit better. But then after the drinking, you know what you're doing, you know you're escaping, you feel shame again on top of that. And now you've got shame stacked on shame, stacked on shame. And then it might be something else to escape, like drugs, or you might even go to gambling or gaming or smoking or whatever it is, whatever vice and crutch this person's going to lean on or use as a form of escapism. The fact remains that they are still trying to escape it instead of facing it. Okay, what they actually need to do to overcome that shame is own the shame. In this specific case, probably to the partner, that's, you know, the respectful thing to do. But even like in a space in which, you know, doesn't involve the partner, I'm not saying you should hide things from your partner, but like a good first step would definitely be owning it in like a community or something like that, like especially with other men who understand the same sort of like struggles and dynamics. Owning it, once you own it, you're like, whoa, okay, now that's off my chest. Now I can move forward and I don't have to be reactive in comparison. Like they were being reactive when they held this shame within their body, but now they're like, okay, I can actually operate from a place of like genuine intent now. I'm not just like reacting and escaping and just constantly in this place of like impulsivity and running away from it, right? So that's just one sort of thing that I've been learning as of recently, of like how the shame can cause us to continuously engage in these patterns because we're using them as a form of escapism. But in the act of using them as a form of escapism, we're just deepening the shame, which then fuels the cycle and makes it even harder to break free of. So full loop back, the paradox of shame is the way out of shame is by owning shame, speaking your truth, owning your story, not just doing stuff that deepens you and puts you in deeper shame. I know you're probably listening to this right now and you're probably thinking about something that you have shame around, it's something you don't want to share, like a secret you're holding inside. And you're probably thinking like, fuck that, I'm not sharing that. I get it, bro. The resistance is normal. It's completely normal, but you have to own it. If you don't own it, it's going to keep you binded energetically. Like it's literally going to keep you on the level of shame, which is insanely low. On the scale of consciousness, it's level 20, right? It's insanely low. So that is that. Now let's talk about how shame becomes another hindrance in the terms of like identity, okay? So shame tells us we are a bad person. It really does. It's not just like I did a bad thing. Shame says you are a bad person. So when you harbor shame and you hold shame within your body and you genuinely believe you're a bad person, that's going to affect you in an array of different ways, right? You're going to walk around genuinely believing you're a bad person, and this is going to become like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's going to affect your confidence, your self-worth, your habits, how you show up towards others, how you show up towards yourself, all these sorts of things, right? Your self-perception is negatively affected by the shame that you're harboring within your body that you need to own to be able to release. So these are a couple things, and man, like, I don't know about you guys, but that blows my mind. It blows my mind how much power shame can hold over us when we refuse to actually own it and actually like dive into it, right? Another massive thing that shame does is it prevents genuine connection, like real authentic connection. Because shame tells us that if we share this, we're going to be banished or judged or hated or whatever, it prevents us from showing up as our authentic self. So we will hold ourselves back and hold back the things we say in the fear that we're going to be found out or we're going to sort of like be judged, right? It's stemming from like a fear of being seen. But like shame has a massive, powerful effect on that, and not in a good way. So if you hold shame within your body and someone's trying to connect with you, whether it be like a platonic connection with a mate or an intimate connection with a partner or, a connection with your kids or something like that, shame will literally prevent you from showing up as your authentic self, because it's telling you, the narrative in the mind is telling you, don't share this. If you share this, they're going to think of you like this, and don't own this. If you do this, they're going to think of you like it's literally telling you to stay quiet and don't share as much as you want to share, and make sure you only say the right things and don't say the wrong things, and make sure your little secret doesn't get out. Shame holds us back massively on that level. Okay, so you guys really, really need to understand this. And I really just want to drive the point home of like, shame cannot exist when you share it. When you own shame, when you genuinely speak your truth, when you own what has happened, when you own what you've done, when you own what you've been through, or even what's happened to you, right? When you're owning this stuff, when you're owning the narrative that your body and mind is telling you should not be owned and should not be shared, you take the power away from shame and you take your power back. You start saying, no, I don't give a fuck about the fact that, these narratives are going to like tell me that people are going to judge me or hate me or banish me or whatever like this. I'm not going to live in secrecy. I'm not going to live scared. I'm not going to live hiding and just fucking being a prisoner of my own mind because I think about something that might happen, right? And the reality of it is, bro, if you share your shame with someone, like if you share something you're ashamed about or something you've been through or something's happened to you with someone and they're genuinely judging you for that and they're, trying to put more shame on top of you and they're like just being a fucking asshole about it, do you really want to be around that person? Is that not a good highlight of their character? You know what I mean? Like that's how I see things anyway. I see things like, I'm going to be my authentic self. I'm going to share who I genuinely am. I'm not going to hold back. And you know what? If people aren't aligned with that, if people aren't aligned with my genuine authentic self, cool. I don't want them in my life anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I only want people in my life that are genuinely aligned with who I am at the core. And I'm not saying I go around treating people badly or anything like that, right? Like, I'm just expressing my authentic self. And if people are aligned with that, beautiful. If they're not, all good, no stress, right? But the people who are aligned with me and the people who are in my life, they're in my life and they genuinely love me for me. Not for a front that I've put up because I think I need to be Mr. Perfect to appease, like please them, or to, be accepted, or to be enough, or anything like this, right? So I really am a massive advocate for authenticity. Something I've struggled with in the past, for sure. I used to think I had to be perfect, and I used to have a front and like a mask and all sorts of stuff because I didn't, think that people would like my authentic self. And then I just got to a point where I was like, bro, I don't want people to like me for a mask. I want people to like me for me. And if certain people aren't aligned with, who I truly am and my authentic self, I don't really want them in my life anyway. And me stepping into my authenticity has been one of the best things because, a lot of people have dropped off, right? But just as many people have come into my life. And the great thing about it is I know that the people in my life are genuinely fucking here for me, for who I am. Not for a mask, not for a front, not for anything like this. Like, they are aligned and, really like being around my authentic self. And that is everything. That is one of the best things a man can have. Just expressing your authentic self and being surrounded with people who are aligned with your authentic self. Think of it like this too. If you're portraying yourself to be a certain version, which isn't necessarily who you are, or you're putting up a mask, even if you attract people and these people become aligned with that version of you, now you're in a catch-22. You either, firstly, you need to maintain that mask, or when the mask slips, and I say when because it will eventually slip, these people are going to be like, what the fuck, this guy isn't who he says he is, and then they're going to probably for the most part, not going to be aligned with who you actually are. So some cool things here, but the underlying message is express yourself authentically, own your shame, and genuinely step into who you actually are. And bro, if people don't like it, they don't like it. It's not the end of the world, right? You're always going to have people that dislike you for no matter what you do. You could be a literal saint, right? You could be doing everything perfect and someone would say, oh, fuck, look at this guy, Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. People are going to judge no matter what. You could be an outlaw biker and then people will be like, oh, fucking criminal, right? You're always going to have judgment. You're always going to have misalignment with people. So don't construct yourself and the way you show up in the world based on trying to make other people happy. It's like a people-pleasing trait and it's a lack of ability to express yourself authentically. Both of these things stem from shame because we think that it's not okay and we're not going to be accepted and we're going to be judged. Bro, fuck it. The people that judge you, let them judge. It doesn't matter. Get around people who genuinely are there for you and actually want to, see you own yourself fully. Right? You get around the right people, man, they're actually proud to see you shame sharing. They're like, oh fuck man, you're sharing shame with me. Like when someone shares shame with me, whether it be in the men's self-development community or just in general, like a mate or something like that, I'm like, bro, I feel honored. Like you respect me so much and you have you must have some perception of me being a safe space that I'm not going to judge or hate on you or something like that, that you've actually come to me with one of your most vulnerable things and you've shared that with me. I love that people can do that with me. I'm so proud of myself for cultivating that in social dynamics. And man, it's one of the best things. When you have someone like that or when you have a space like that, it's so good because you're shame can no longer hold me anymore. It can't bind me because I have the power to share it, to own it, and to not dismiss it out of the body. I'm not saying you have to get rid of it, but when you share it, a lot of the energy dissipates almost automatically because shame exists in the shadows. And we talk a lot about personal power and actually becoming a stronger version of ourselves and a better version of ourselves. A big part of that is overcoming shame. Okay, now this could be a topic for a whole nother video, but a massive part in overcoming shame is, as I said, sharing it, self-acceptance, non-judgment. 3 massive components to overcoming shame. The man who can actually accept himself exactly where he is, exactly, for the habits that he has, exactly as he is in this present moment. Habits, mindset, body, everything about him. The man who can accept himself where he currently is right now and can free himself from that judgment and that like just resistance towards his current self and that self-hatred towards who he currently is. He's a powerful man. Now, I'm not saying we should just be all accepting and not do any work on ourselves, but what I am saying is the place in which we start from in terms of doing the work, it should be self-acceptance, and it should be meeting ourselves with truth, right? It's like if I was 200 kilos and insanely overweight, the first step I would recommend, or I guess it's myself in this story, right? So the first step I would do if I was insanely overweight, 200 kilos, I would be like, okay, I am insanely overweight. I am out of shape. I accept that. I understand where I'm at right now. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm owning that I'm overweight, but you know what? I'm going to do something about it. And so then my entire fitness journey then stems from a place of acceptance in comparison to shame. And it's then going to come from a place of self-love because I accept who I am, but I deserve to have a better body because I'm worthy of that. In comparison to coming from self-hatred where it's like, I can't fucking believe that I even look like this, even denial, all this sort of shit. You know, I'm a piece of shit, X, Y, Z. I'm going to starve my... Can you see the difference there, the polarity? It's insane, the difference, right? And bro, I'm going to be honest with you, most men operate from a place of shame, especially when it comes to self-development, okay? Engage in self-development and become a better version of yourself because you are deserving of it and you're worthy of becoming the absolute best version of yourself, not because the version of you right now is unworthy, undeserving, or fucking a piece of shit, or whatever other narrative you're telling yourself. Make sure your self-development isn't coming from a place of shame and self-hatred. It's fucking crucial, it really is. Alright guys, I hope you got a ton of value from this video. I'm going to do a bit of a summary and then we're going to wrap it up. So, first things first, understand shame on the deepest level. Understand that when you own your shame and share your shame in a community or a space in which it's like right to do so, you can literally dissipate a ton of shame straight off the bat. Again, if you don't have a space, reach out to me, join my Self-Mastery Society, men's self-development community, DM me on Instagram, Ricky Gauci, RSCKY, space GAUCI, and we can tee it up. I'll give you a free week in the community, try it out for yourself and see what it's all about. On top of sharing it, you need to make sure that you are just like not judging yourself, not hating yourself, not doing anything like this. Self-acceptance, non-judgment. These are crucial parts of the process. Make sure you're doing both of those. Understanding that a lot of self-destructive cycles and patterns and self-sabotaging cycles and whatnot, they are stemming from shame. And the more you engage in these things, the deeper the shame gets, You need to own your story, own your truth, and come clean, bro. I cannot tell you how good it feels to have a clean conscience. I'm not saying this from a place of superiority. I'm saying this from a place of someone who has lived periods of my life where I had a shame-ridden conscience, right? Like I was holding secrets and I was not telling certain people certain things and I felt really fucking bad all the time and it's sticky. Shame is like, it's fucking disgusting. Like it's an energy that just weighs you down. It's really fucking shit. Nothing feels better, in my personal opinion, than having a clear conscience and just being a genuine good person and like not hiding shit, not keeping secrets, not doing people dirty, just having a clear conscience. A big part of getting that clear conscience will be owning your shame, sharing your shame, and just in general, not fucking hiding it anymore. Okay, liberate yourself from this shame. And once you do so, you're going to be able to express yourself authentically. You're going to be able to break a lot of these self-destructive and self-sabotaging patterns. You're going to be able to have a clear conscience and fucking feel so good about yourself on a day-to-day basis. You're going to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and genuinely proud of the man you are instead of avoiding eye contact with yourself, right? Because shame doesn't like to be seen. You'll see a lot of the time, look, if you learn like about human nature, someone who's holding shame, they struggle to keep eye contact, even with a camera, right? Like if I was filming this and I had a ton of shame in my body right now, I'd be like this. All right, guys, today I want to talk about shame. Right, see how much like I fear the camera if I have shame within my body? It's the same with people. Like if someone's got shame, it's very easy to pick up on it because they can very rarely lock eyes with you and like keep eye contact because they're ashamed and they don't want to be seen. That's what it's all about. So guys, make the decision today or tonight, whenever you're watching this, to stop holding on to shame. Stop allowing it to limit you. Stop allowing it to hold you back and just own your fucking truth. Own it wherever. I genuinely don't mind where you own it. Just own it, right? Share it with a mate, share it with your partner, share it in the Self-Mastery Society community, share it somewhere, but you need to share it. You need to own that, okay? For the guys, what I would really recommend is sharing your shame. Yes, you can share it with your partner. I'm not going to say you can't, but in my personal experience, it's better to share shame and stuff like this with a group of other men where the culture is correct, because it just, for the sake of the relationship dynamic and also for the sake of having men, like people around you that actually relate and can understand your specific situation, in my experience, it's better with the men around you who are aligned. But regardless, share it somewhere, own your truth, step into your authentic self, and feel the liberating sensation and the just experience the freedom that comes from being shame-free. It's one of the best things ever. You're gonna look at yourself in the mirror and be fucking proud of the man you are, and yeah, you'll live a much, much better life. So guys, I hope you got a ton of value from this video about my insights on shame. I've been diving into it a ton recently. I'm gonna continue diving into it because I'm actually obsessed right now. And yeah, I'll be sharing more videos and more insights and all sorts of stuff like this on shame and just in general about all things self-development. If you wanna see that, if you wanna keep up to date, feel free to subscribe down below, click the button, like the video if you liked it, and comment something below if you got a bit of value. Do all those good things. And if you want to reach out to me at another place, you can reach me on Instagram. My Insta is Ricky Gorsey, literally my name, spelt as it is in the YouTube thing, but I'll spell it out just in case for whatever reason. RICKY space GAUCI. See you there. See you on the YouTube channel. Have a good night. Have a good day. Have an amazing one. Yo!